stars singing, skies are blue. The world's awake, it's time for you. Start it right, you know it's true. Anson in the morning.
Good morning. It's time for Anson in the morning, and I don't know if you guys can hear me. I couldn't hear the intro, so I don't. Oh, it's because my volume on my thing was turned down. I don't know what's going on with me today, guys. But good morning. It's Anson in the morning. I'm here. You're there, as we always are, and it's time for another episode. So let's get right into it. Oh, let's see here. What's going on with this? Do I want to do this shit? No, I don't. Okay, so here we go. It's been a week. We've got Halloween coming up in just a little bit, so we're getting ready for that in the old Anson household. The kids got their costumes. One of my kids going to be Dexter. I don't know I think the other one's going to be a banana. But he always wanted to be one of the bunch, so good for him. All right, guys. As you see, today's episode is called Game Over, man. Game Over. And I'll tell you why. Because one of the biggest parts of my life is video games. I love them. I play them. I will always play them. I've always said that at the end of uh, my life's usefulness, when I end up in an old folks' home, just give me a steady supply of snacks, a little bit of weed, and a computer with some games on it. That's all I need. You know, I love video games. I don't know why I love them so much. Let's get started. Then we'll get into why I love them. So first off, let's take it all the way back to like 1980. And my parents loved to go to Seattle. Like that was their favorite place to go. It was a nice place. You could go get away. There was plenty of babysitters up there. It was a big city, you know. So my parents would leave me with babysitters. They'd go have a good time. Why not, right? I used to do the same with my kids. But we had this one babysitter, and don't remember his name, don't remember anything like that. All I remember, he was an old guy. And this was an old guy who worked in the tech sector up in Seattle way back when, like when it was all starting. And I remember he put on his TV a game called Pong. Now, if you guys don't know what Pong is, which most of us do, because, you know, how can you not? It's a black screen, two green sticks, and a ball going back and forth like tennis. And the sticks move up and down to hit the ball. And I'll never forget, man, my absolute extreme giddiness and excitement over checking out this, you know, watching the ball go off the screen. I'm 3, so every time it would go off the screen, I'd squeal in delight or whatever. You know, I just thought it was great. And he was like, "Shh, stop, 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 stop. We have neighbors. It's getting too late." You know, all that stuff. But that was my first exposure to a video game, was some old dude in Seattle who had the game Pong, an old babysitter of mine, him and his wife, but he had Pong. And at 3 or however old I was, the shit blew my mind. Like I had no clue that you could do this stuff. And so cool. And it just nestled in my brain a little bit. Now, as I grew up a little bit, especially in Portland, we had this restaurant called the Crab Bowl. And the Crab Bowl was an amazing seafood restaurant. Amazing seafood restaurant. They had a great chowder. You know, the crab legs were amazing. Everything there was good. Now they tore it down. They turned it into a porno store. It's like Adult Palace or whatever. It was a big restaurant that they gutted out and turned into a porn shop. But the one thing about this place called the Crab Bowl was they had a Donkey Kong machine. Now, this was back in the 80s. So here my dad would pop in a quarter and hold me up while I'm sitting here. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, running around doing whatever. And it was all fine and well, you know. You start again, it's a video game and it's getting into my brain and it's telling me, hey, these are really cool things to play. Um, and I remember my cousin Timothy, the same thing. Hold me up there, he'd play it and he'd show me how to get through the construction screen or how to get onto the elevators and you know all that stuff in the Donkey Kong. And having such amazing tutelage at such a young age, I mean, you all know that if you learn something at a young age, it kind of sticks with you, and that's just what you do. Like that's what you know. And for me, it was video games. You know, I had exposure from my dad. I had exposure from my cousin, who I looked up to and was, you know, a big brother to me. And so, of course, it's going to settle in my mind that this is the greatest thing ever. Well, lo and behold, man, this has got to be earliest 80s. I can't even remember when it came out. I should have done my research before the show. Um, my dad bought a ColecoVision for the house. Now, this was a ColecoVision that it had the two plugs that go into the back, the two screws on the back of your TV, and it had a little UHF VHF switcher plugged into the ColecoVision. Now, the ColecoVision's controller was really cool. It was a brick that had a joystick in the middle, two triggers on the end, but it had like a telephone number pad on the front. And what I found out later from a friend of mine, because I never knew this, was that you could take cards and slip them into the front of that number pad, and it would give you certain commands for different games. How cool is that? You almost have like a 12-button mouse keyboard on a ColecoVision. And we're talking like early 80s. Well, the big game for the ColecoVision was Donkey Kong. And man, that was it. I loved it. I got into it. Um, any second I could, I played. And to this day, my high score on Donkey Kong, I have an arcade machine in the other room that plays 60 classic games. Of course, number one is Donkey Kong. And I'm rocking about 67,000 points. Not bad. Third elevator screen, and that's about it. That's where I get stuck. But back in the day, like I remember me and my cousin just sitting there for hours without dying. Like this guy would clear maps without dying over and over and over. And it was almost a fun thing for me. Like, when are you going to die? When are you going to die? When is it my turn? This kid would go and go and go and go. So I started watching patterns, and that's when it clicked with me. You have to watch patterns in video games. You have to see what the developer wants from you. They make these games for a reason, right? To entertain you, of course. But in the creation of the game, they're putting in their own tools, their own system of how do you get through the game. And I've always said it, and I'll say it to the end of my day. If you want to beat any video game out there, figure out what the developer wants from you. It doesn't mean that they want you to have a good time. Doesn't mean that they want you to sit there and post all this shit online and show you how great the game is. What does the developer in the game want from you? And when you can learn that, buddy, you succeed. I'm teaching my kids that today. My daughter was getting through this game. I can't remember the name of some puzzle game that came out free on the PlayStation 5 network. And she was having an issue getting through one level. And I was like, well, what do they want from you? And she looked at me like, what? I said, what does the developer want from you? What does he want you to do to get through this fight? She's like, he wants me to keep moving. That's what this is about. It's a movement battle. It's not about killing the boss. It's about keeping moving until he gets tired, blah, 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 blah. Okay, now we're learning. And it took her 2 more tries to beat the boss once she realized that this is what it was about. So you understand that as a young mind, I'm blossoming and growing in my brain. And the one thing I can see more than anything else is, holy shit, video games are not only amazing, and they're not only graphically pleasing to the eye back in the old days, but there's a purpose to them. And if you look at pinball machines, people don't realize pinball machines have a storyline to them. If you play, there's one, it's called a car chase. First, you have to get, the ball fast enough or get to the right spots to be speeding. Then you start the cop chase. You got to get away from the cop. Then you got to hide from the cop, get the ball up this certain ramp, and you light up all those letters. That's how you get the high scores. These games have actual stories to them. I didn't know pinball games had stories, purposes and goals and all the shit. And the newer games are even better. Like when I owned my pizza restaurant, I had a Demolition Man pinball machine in there. You could play the whole fucking movie if you just got the balls in the right spots almost. Do you know what I mean? Like every sequence of the movie was in that game if you just did what the developers and the builders want you to do. So I became quite good at this stuff, and it was young. So I had another babysitter named Donna Malsbury. Shouldn't have said her last name. I'm sorry. But Donna and her family had an Atari 2600. Now, it was great to play Pong with this guy, my old babysitter. And it was great to go to the crab bowl and play Donkey Kong. Great, cool. But the Atari, man, you could change the games. She had this game called Kaboom, where you had this little burglar guy. It looked like a hamburger. And he had a bunch of buckets of water, and bombs would drop, and he'd have to sit there and catch all the bombs. And if you missed one, the little buckets would get smaller and smaller till you lost. And it was with this, what was called a paddle. It was a square, and it had a wheel in the middle that you turned, and you back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's all you did. How amazing. It blew my mind. Once again, the simplest game just got me riveted. Because again, I'm a kid. I'm in what, first grade maybe? Watching these guys play this, and And then I'll never forget the day came that my babysitter got Kaboom. No, not Kaboom. I'm sorry, River Raid for the Atari. It was a top-down vertical scroller of an airplane going back and forth over this river, bombing shit and hitting stuff like that. That was it. I'm like, no more kidsy stuff for me. I didn't know you could actually kill things and shoot things and blow shit up. This is neat. All I was used to was jumping barrels, hitting paddles, in the Pong game, and collecting bombs from Kaboom. Now here we are shooting stuff and like being in a plane, and you have a purpose and a goal, and it looks visually stimulating and it's great. I would do everything I could to get 2 minutes on that Atari because it was so amazing. It was just, I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's so captivating to a young mind. Maybe it's like a cartoon. You just can't look away, right? And then once you realize that you're interacting with it, it's even fucking better. So I went through this whole explosion of video games. Of course, the 80s, then we start getting arcades. And now there's games like Tempest and Defender and all these classic video games out there. And the one place that we could always guarantee, two places, I'm sorry, the two places we could always guarantee that we would play the coolest new video games, the local pizza shack and the movie theater. For some reason, the movie theater had a line of games and they always tried to get the newest and best one. So I go to the movie theater and I'll steal a quarter or two just so I can go play Tempest or something cool. The days, man, the days. Those were good days because you could. We had a. I remember we had an arcade in Portland called Wonderland Arcade, and Wonderland ran only off of nickels. So instead of getting four quarters for a dollar, you get 20 nickels for a buck. And yeah, some of these games took two or three nickels. Okay, 15 cents. It still wasn't a goddamn quarter. And they even had a free section in the back. I remember playing Spy Hunter on the free machine back there until I beat it. Just continue, 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 continue. Uh, or play games for a nickel. I mean, how great is this? The arcade days, I mean, even in Wayne's World, you remember Noah's Arcade? Kids keep coughing up quarters and they can't get to the next level. That's how it was, man. We would just anything we could to throw a quarter into the machine, anything we could do to get our next video fix, get to the arcade, see what was new. Oh, Paperboy, and it's got handles on it like a bicycle. How cool is that? So that's what we did. We spent our days at the arcade. It was the most wonderful time of my life. There were friends there, there were kids there, there was shit going on, the music, you're the best around, all that stuff, dude. It was the time. In Portland, we had another place for video games. It was called Malibu Grand Prix. Now, Malibu Grand Prix was a great little spot when you were a kid. It had a whole arcade inside, a snack bar, the whole thing. But the cool thing was is that out back they had Grand Prix racing. So they had like these little go-karts that would go around the track and you get a little license. It said Malibu. It looked like a little driver's license with your picture on it. And if you were a kid, you drove the mini Prix. And if you were an adult or older, you drove the bigger ones. Me and Daniel and Fred and all my friends zooming around that track in the fourth and fifth and sixth grade. Dude, we thought we were the shit. That was the best place. And they had this game, this Ghostbusters game. It was a four-player game. I'd never seen a four-player game before. So there were four of us. We all crowded up to this game. We each popped in like 50 cents just so we can get a couple of plays if we die. And we went crazy. And now you're realizing, wait a minute, gaming is not just for entertainment, it's also communal. Like we're all working together to make these amazing things happen in this video game. How great is that? So you learn, you grow. Even in second and third grade, we had these old Apple IIe, I think it was, and they had like Word Rabbit or something like that. There are all these learning games, but everything was video games. Even the education was video games. There were cartoons out there. Captain N, the Game Masters. Anybody remember this show? This was a show about a dude that got sucked into his Nintendo, and he was out there fighting Kong and King Hippo and all the bad guys from the games. I was like, oh, I want to get sucked into my fucking video games and play these things. Not really, you die, but it seemed cool at the time. So the whole '80s genre was. It just seemed like it was neon, strange fashion, crazy hair, and fucking video games with the music. I mean, you got to have the music to go along with it. So we're in school, we're learning how to play these video games. But like I said, they're all educational. But I do remember I had one computer lab guy, bigger, heavy set guy, and he was like, "Hey, I got this cool game. It's called Hunt the Wumpus." What? He's like, "There's a Wumpus out there, and you got to go." It was kind of like a minesweeper, kind of like find your way through the maze, kind of hunt this thing. And if you got caught by it, it was an ugly, grumpus monk, Wumpus face that would kick your ass. Um, and that was really neat. But I still would wait to go home every day to play my NES. Now, in the fourth grade, Christmas time, I got it. I had wanted it forever. It was on the TV constantly. Buy the Nintendo Entertainment System. Buy the I can't remember what the big one was, but that's the one I got. So Christmas came, cracked open that box, and there was the Nintendo Entertainment System, the light gun. I think I got two controllers. Nowadays they only give you fucking one, but they gave me I think two controllers, and I had a robot. And it was Robbie the robot. And this was a robot who looked at the TV through his little eyes, and he had little claws that would move these little gyroscopes. So you had a machine that would spin these little gyroscopes, and you pick them up and set them on these little things. And it would make the thing go down, make the lever go down on one of the controllers, and a gate would rise or close in the game. So you're using a robot to control a controller to affect things in the game. Now that was neat. I loved it, and we used it a lot. And then I figured out, well, when my cousin comes over for Thanksgiving, isn't it just better to have him push the damn buttons? That way we don't have to deal with the robot and shit. And the robot quickly went out of style. Like there was one game for it, if I remember, and never used it. The light gun, on the other hand, was a different story. So duck hunt. My dad had the duck hunt in his brain. And my dad, I didn't know he was such a great shot. He sat in front of the TV for 60, 70 levels, hours. And me and my cousins are begging to play. Let's play the Nintendo. And he's just sitting there shooting the ducks all day long, thinking it was the coolest thing since sliced Wonder Bread. And I'm sure it was because while I grew up in the age of video games, these guys didn't get it. And they never saw it until they were in their 40s and 50s. And by then, you're not interested in things like that. You're busy out there in the world making money and working and starting a family and raising me, taking care of all of my bullshit. So my dad's sitting there playing duck hunt and we're begging for it. Finally, we get our hands on it. We go crazy. We go crazy. Hours, me and my cousin, back and forth. And we didn't know you could control the ducks with the other controller. That would have been a game changer, probably game over, because I would have tormented my cousin for the rest of his fucking life. But the duck hunt was great. Super Mario was amazing. My grandma liked to watch me play Super Mario for some reason. She thought I was cool as hell. And then I got The Legend of Zelda. It was a Christmas present the next year. No, it was a birthday present. I'm sorry. And I remember opening the package and seeing the blue Zelda box, not really understanding much about what it was. But when I opened the box and took out the cartridge was gold. I'm used to gray cartridges with the picture on the front. It's a gold cartridge. This must be something special. So I pop in that gold cartridge and I play the fucking game Legend of Zelda. I remember days in the fourth grade when I couldn't wait to get the fuck out of school so I could go back and play that game. I'm thinking about it in class. I'm up at the chalkboard doing numbers for the teacher, thinking, oh, Monocle Rock. What if I put a bomb in that? Maybe I can go in there and see if there's a map or something cool in there. Just it took over my brain. And then you get games like the Ninja Turtles, TMNT for NES and all the NES games. Karate Kid was one of my favorite. Even Danielson could break the blocks and all that stuff. Uh, Trying to think of some of these other games. Double Dragon was another one I got for my birthday. Contra I got for my birthday. I had a collection of video games longer than well, it's long. I mean, I had so many games, just cartridges stacked up long, play whatever I wanted. And boy, I did. I would wait till my parents went to bed at night. I'd be in bed. And as soon as I hear them going up the stairs, that one eye would open, jump out of bed, load in a game, sit in front of my TV and start playing. And I got sneaky because what I would do is if I needed to continue the game, if you left your PlayStation, if you left your NES on, there was a little red light in the front showing it was on. Well, I would just put a piece of paper over that. Nobody saw the light, like a little black thing. Nobody ever saw the light, so I could keep this thing on for days. playing video games, trying to beat all these new things. My dad would go out to work on Saturdays and Sundays during the summer, and one of my treats in the and sixth grades were being able to go to the video store back when they rented Nintendo games. And I would pick up anything and I just play it for hours. King's Quest, you fucking name it. Anything I could get my hands on. Dragon Slayer, any of them. And I did. I played everything I could get my hands on. I'll never forget. I had a subscription to this magazine called Nintendo Power. Now, if you owned an NES, Nintendo Power was an essential. It gave you cheat codes, it gave you interviews, it gave you new games coming out, interviews with the developers of these games. I mean, Nintendo Power was, for all intents and purposes, one of the best gaming magazines ever produced. It had numbers on the back that you could call if you got stuck in a game. I remember Fester's Quest would hit. No, no, I'm sorry, not Fester's Quest. That was too hard. Fester's Quest was stupid, but it was a boy and his blob was the game. And you had to feed this blob jelly beans to turn into different things to get through the levels. I had to call Nintendo Power. It was like an 800 number, and they talk to you for free. Hey, I'm having trouble with the boy and his blob. I can't figure out how to turn him into the rocket. Well, you need to give him a root beer flavored jelly bean. Cool. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Thanks for calling Nintendo of America. And then hang up. That was it. A couple other games had those things back in the day. We'll get to that in a little bit. The PC stuff. But Nintendo Power was the shit. Cheat codes and, like I said, upcoming games. So as soon as a new game was coming out, boy, I had my eyeballs on it. I have to have it. Gotta have it. I was doing research, and all my friends had one. Um, Now I hung out in Hawaii a lot as a kid for vacations and Christmas. And one of the biggest surf shop in Hawaii was the TNC Surf Factory. They made not only surfboards, but a whole line of clothing, uh, all kinds of shit, right? With all their logo. It was like little yin yang with different weird, wacky colors in their TNC Surf Shop. Well, they made a fucking game, TNC Surf and Wooden Water Rage. Now, TNC Wooden Water Rage almost sounds kind of pornographic, right? Uh, was amazing. Now, this game was surfing and skateboarding. You could choose one of the two activities. I like to skate. I was a child of the 80s. I had a skate. I had two skateboards. I had a Nash and some other one with a little radio built into the back of it. I'd ride around the neighborhood pissing everybody off. Uh, but Wooden Water Rage, man. I mean, you want to talk about hours on a video game and hours and hours and hours. It was that. It was Wooden Water Rage. And the other one I put so much time into was Pinbot 2000. I don't know why. I just loved it. It was so fun. Each pinball map was different, and the ball would break, and it'd wear down on sides, and it was so cool. I mean, who thought to do this stuff in a Nintendo game back in the 80s and early 90s? Now, I never got my parents had money. Like, my parents were loaded to a degree. They had, a nice business. I pretty much had any toy, anything I wanted, except for the Super Nintendo. I could never get my gloms on a Super Nintendo. It would just never happen. Or the N64. The only console that I was ever allowed to have was that goddamn NES. And I was cool with that because I had so many games. Like, one night, my parents went to bed at like 11, 10:30. I pop in Mike Tyson's Punch Out, and I think I heard his 5:30 alarm go off. And I was like, oh shit, I gotta go to bed. Go into bed, get an hour of sleep, wake up, get ready for school. Because that's just how it was. It was so addicting and so in your brain. You were part of the story. You were doing stuff. Now I'm playing games that have not only you're just running across the street and kicking the shit out of people, but these things have story and depth, and they're well written. Like, who's writing these scripts and all the shit that goes on in these games? I couldn't get over it. Hooked. Hooked. Growing up a little bit further in time, my parents got I think I was in the 7th or 8th grade. My parents went out to this place, National Rent a Computer, where you could get an old IBM 286 with DOS only, no operating system but DOS. And I think the goddamn thing ran them about $900 a month to rent it, to lease it. You know what I mean? And then he put in the modem, and we learned how to get online and all this stuff. And we literally had the first home computer all the way up to today when I've got this beast sitting in front of me, right? But back in the day, the only games you could play were these DOS games. And originally there was no color, it was all black and white, right? or yeah, it was black and white because I didn't have the green and white screen. So I'm sitting there watching, playing black and white games. I think one of the first ones was I were this dude that was running around with a trampoline catching babies that were falling out of buildings. What? I don't know, but it was cool. Well, as I got older and more games came out, like I remember going to Egghead Software or Office Max, and they'd have a whole aisle full of computer games, old shitty ones. But I bought a 3-pack. It had Monopoly, Clue, and Risk. Now, this is the first time that my computer games had color, and they were shitty EGA and VGA graphics. They were very pastel. You couldn't really tell a lot about what was going on the screen, but it was there. And I'm playing Risk on my fucking PC with a 5.5 inch floppy, the big fuckers. Put that one in. And then it's like, oh, do you want to continue? Put in disc 2. You do. And then disc 3 and disc 4 and disc 5, so on, so on, so on. Some of these games had 6, 7 discs. They were so goddamn big. So I get the computer and I'm starting to play games like Risk and all this stuff. But then uh, we're starting to get online. So we start with Prodigy Online. And Prodigy Online was just a very simple service. Again, shitty graphics. It was hard to get into. It was hard to search shit up. It wasn't optimized like things are today, but it was one of the first. And you had to pay, like, I think it was $20 a month to get online with Prodigy. And then you're online. And here I am doing reports. I'm looking stuff up. Like I actually start to learn the system with Prodigy Online. And you start to learn how to do book reports and other shit like that. I did I was a freshman in high school and I pulled like a 200-page report on HIV and AIDS off of the internet and I turned it into my professor or my teacher back in the day. A plus. He's like, I don't know how you did this, Mr. Rottola, but this is one of the most well-written, thought out, and influential reports that I've ever seen on HIV and AIDS. How did you do this? Lots of research, boss. No, I went into the online thing. This is back in the day, and I typed in what is the information on HIV and AIDS, and it gave me fucking 200 pages. Print. Now we had the old dot matrix printer, right? Hours of hours and hours and hours of it. But the report got done being online. And then what you realize is that now there's games. You can play games online that people have made and put up there. There was like some hover tank game, and it was just very 3D ish, but it looked good to me because I didn't know any damn different, right? Sorry, I had to take my pill. And I'm in love with this stuff. Like it captivated my brain. This is all I wanted to think about, do, play. I wanted to get a job in the video game industry somehow. I wanted to make or play or be a part of this wonderful industry for my whole life. All I wanted to do. I had no interest in anything else but video games and maybe some acting, you know. But the acting was to get a creative juice out of me. The video games gave me inspiration for other things because I'm reading these great stories that people are writing online. I'm playing these games. Well, the next online service came out and it was America Online. Welcome. You've got mail. You all remember, don't lie to me and tell me you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Uh Now the games on here were mostly text-based. I played a Star Trek text-based game forever. And it was all in the chat rooms and private messages. Like, the captain would send me a message. Don't tell anybody else, but this is going to happen. I want you to say, or not, I want you to say, but the warp coil exploded or whatever. So I'd have to type it in there. This is going on. And there were all these procedurally generated chat games using your imagination. It was all text. And I played this Star Trek online game for years and years and years, all the way up until I was a junior or senior in high school, where I would regale the classroom every morning with my tales of the night before online because it was interesting, right? And people kind of liked it. So here I am role playing for the first time in my life. A lot of fun, a lot of fun. And then America Online released a game called Neverwinter Nights. Now, any of you out there who know anything about D&D knows that Neverwinter is a historical foundation in the game of D&D. It's like going to Tribor or the Lost Hills. Everybody knows where these places are. Well, this game came online called Neverwinter Nights, and I'd never heard of it. I'd played D&D, so I'm like, ooh, is this D&D related? I go in, I play the game now. Shittiest graphics in the world, but it was an MMO. So it would tell you the people, and it wasn't like great graphics. You'd move forward, and it'd be like one square. Then click the forward button again. The screen would change to the next square in your video. So like tick, 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 as you're moving forward, fighting the monsters, and you got spells and a character sheet and all this stuff like that. But the cool thing was is that I could play with other players. Like you could see your icon on the screen and the other player, and he'd cast a spell, then you'd cast a spell, he'd heal you, you'd go to him, blah, blah. So you're actually moving characters around the board with people online. And this blew my fucking mind. Here we are. This is what I want. This is what I want. I want to play games with other players online, having adventures and going and doing cool shit like this. Man, there's no looking back. Now I'm a PC gamer. Fuck the consoles. This is PC time now, baby. You got a whole world at your fingertips, and it's not. You can upgrade your computer to play different shit. And they had video games that would come out, like when I first got my first CD-ROM drive. They had games that would come out with movies on them, JPEG movies or JPEG, something like that. I don't remember what it was called, but you'd put it in there. It was like I had a submarine game that I was playing on my old Pentium 1, right? And you'd put it in there, and it was literally you're watching a movie of a submarine captain talking to his XO, and then you make a few choices, and whatever choice you make plays the next part of that movie. So you feel like you're actually in a fucking submarine. And there's things to play. There's a game screen where you can click all this stuff and make things happen and blah blah blah. But you want to talk about immersive. Now I'm watching videos and seeing these things up close. And this is what all these games were. They were all putting videos into their games now, showing the movie quality because now we have CD-ROMs where we move past the little 5.5-inch floppies and 2.25. By the way, I got off track. I got to go back. I got to give a shout out to my buddy Jason, who I went to school with. His name was Jason O. His dad, now my buddy Frank knows him. His dad was he did something in the tech sector in Japan, and Jason would get all the cool video games from Japan. So he's bringing me over discs of like the Fantastic Machine, or I'll never forget. He brought me Leisure Suit Larry, number one, the first one, and I didn't know, right? I'm like, let's see what Leisure Suit Larry is about, and it's all kinky and sexy. I'm like, they can do that in video games? Holy shit! Well, then my buddy brings me straight from Japan, Cobra Mission. Guys, I can't describe Cobra Mission to you. Oh, I'm going to, but look it up. It was the first time that I saw boobs in a video game. It was one of the first times I really saw boobs aside from late night HBO and Cinemax and shit. But now it's on my computer in a game. What the hell? And it wasn't just a porno game, like it had adventure and story. And I'm going around doing all this stuff, but every once in a while you'd make it with a chick and it would show her boobies on screen. Of course it was art and it was all, Japan style, but it was awesome. What do I know? I'm a fucking kid. I'm like, yeah. All night long, I'd stay up all night playing these goddamn Cobra missions and shit like that, and you name it. Well, as we go and as the computers get a little bit better and I get like, move up in the world, um, my cousin gives me a game called X-Wing. I like Star Wars. He likes Star Wars. He got me into Star Wars. And he gave me a joystick. No, I'm sorry, he didn't. He didn't. He gave me X-Wing. And I took it home and I played it. And about a month later, I went to go see my cousin again. He's like, "Do you like X-Wing?" I'm like, "I fucking love X-Wing. Are you kidding me?" He goes, "What kind of a joystick do you have?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm playing this shit with by keyboard and mouse." He's like, "You're playing a flight simulator keyboard and mouse?" I'm like, "Yeah." So my cousin goes into his closet and he reaches in there and he gives me his old joystick. It's my first joystick in the world. I go home, I plug that thing in with the old serial port, with the little pins in it that you had to stick in the back and then screw in the little knobs to make sure it was secure. And now I'm flying. I got a joystick, I got a throttle, I'm X-Wing Supreme, and I'm into it. Man, that's when I got my love of flight simulators. I could fly. I could be in the Star Wars universe, blowing up, TIE fighters and doing. And the cool thing was that Lucas games back in the day, it wasn't just you get into an X-Wing and go out and blow shit up. There was a whole 6-chapter story in X-Wing that included B-Wing and Rebel Assault and all these games. It was a whole long storyline. And as you progressed through the storyline and as you finished missions, there was a little battle uniform in your closet. And after every mission, you could see a little rank ribbon go up. So at the end of it, you'd have a bar of ribbons like they do in the military, or a bar of those little, and then medals hanging off your thing. And in B-Wing, they gave you a necklace that would as you finished missions, the necklace would get more and more medals on it, so it grew and became something cooler. Well, now I have really immersion because you're first person in an X-wing and you're flying around and the graphics were shit and the music was all MIDI, but it was still Star Wars music, dun 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 in the the TIE Fighter battle song. And it was spectacular. And then as the next X-Wing game came out, which was TIE Fighter, the graphics got better and the story got richer. And then X-Wing versus TIE Fighter came out, and the graphics were even better. No storyline to speak of, and people were kind of pissed about that. So was I, because I wanted to play a full campaign. I love the campaign. It really gets you into the character, into the game. It keeps you going. It makes you want to log in again to progress your character through that mission. What's going to happen in the next mission? I don't know. Let's go find out. So here I am, flight sim crazy. Love it. And I'm playing everything I can get my pudgy little fingers on back in the day. If you had anything, I don't care what it was, I played some of the stupidest games and some of the best games. Like I remember Commando 1, amazing. I worked at a place called Circuit City, and I went to this Intel convention, and they were this was back now. You guys will know the game. They handed me Half Life day one. It was a demo of this game that was going to come out called Half Life, and it was just the first day running through it. Never seen anything like this in my life. Now we're doing narrative stories without those film clips in there, and it's just pure game, like rendered scenes and stuff. Blew my mind again. How can you guys do this wonderful stuff? Now you got games and jump scares. I remember when like one of those little head suckers in the game in Half Life would jump out of one of the vents. Ah, shit. Okay, now we're off to the races. Now we've got something to play. Now we're getting into the days of online play and multi user dungeons and doing all kinds of cool shit with any game you had the inkling to make. I remember I played the first Diablo. I had no idea what it was about. I didn't know it was a dungeon crawler. I didn't know, but I bought it and I threw it in and I beat it because these games were too good. So Diablo 2 comes out, I buy it. Diablo 3, of course. Now you start hooked on these series, right? Well, I remember that I was sick, very sick. I had a fever going. Like you get those fever dreams where you can't see straight. You're asleep and all your dreams are annoying and you're sweating and it's just bullshit. Well, I was having that. And I woke up like 2 in the morning and my dad would leave, like my Game Informer magazine and my Nintendo Power and shit on my desk, whatever. And I woke up and I was going to my bathroom. And when I came out of the bathroom, I looked down and there was a Game Informer magazine. And usually they had cool demos of games in the back. So I remember that they'd sent me this game called Fallout. It was a top-down turn-based. I'm like, cool, I like turn-based shit, but I was kind of hoping for some better graphics or whatever. So I throw it in there. I play the fucking game. The first thing that happens is you hear, I don't want to set the world on fire. Like the ink spots in a post-apocalyptic game. Let's see what this is about. Then you start playing and you learn that the wasteland is this wonders of adventure and rich story and Bethesda, not was it Bethesda or was it one player, one of these companies had it first. Maybe it was Bethesda. I don't remember. And they knocked it out of the park. It was the most beautiful top-down shitty graphics game I ever played with Easter eggs. I remember walking through there one day. I found a crashed UFO. I found the TARDIS that made the TARDIS sound. Like it was just a TARDIS sitting there. And you go through the game, and now you're seeing there's factions and there's, you know, the world building. And I was still miserable because I had a fucking fever. So I'm trying to play this goddamn game. I'm trying to kill raiders and doing whatever, sweating bullets, sicker than shit. But for some reason, it was Fallout that got me through that cold because I could put that game on and distract myself enough to get better. So now I'm using not only video games for entertainment or to fill up my time, but also as therapy, right? Well, as you guys can see, the puddle's getting deeper and deeper. So I'm playing Fallout and all these other cool games, and then they get Carmageddon came out, and I saw this at a store I didn't work at, but I wanted it. It was called Carmageddon. And I guess you have these races with these killer trucks that can run over people. The more people you run over, the better you do. And when you hit them, the blood splatters and shitty graphics, but still a lot of fun. Look up Carmageddon. That's a good one. I loved Carmageddon. But at the same time, this game comes out in the spirit of Carmageddon. This game comes out called Grand Theft Auto, the first one. And I buy it and I put it in Grand Theft Auto. And I remember it was all top down, of course, and you get into your car. And one of the best parts of Grand Theft Auto was that every radio station had music, and they were all songs that were made up by the company. These were not real songs. They were not on the radio. They were parody songs about shit. Like I remember they were singing some song about Chapped Lips Calhoun and how his wife was big and hairy and really scary, and shit like that. So look it up. The Legend of Chapped Lips Calhoun. It's a song from GTA. And the violence was there, just like Carmageddon. It was bloody, and you got points for running people over. Or, how many Hare Krishnas can you kill on the street? By running them over with your car and shit like that, and points. And you'd get rampage bonuses and chaos bonuses. And holy shit, I'm getting rewarded for being a jackass. And you're doing missions, and you're a criminal, and you're out there in the world. GTA, holy shit! And I didn't even know that this was going to be the start of something big. This was the fucking first one. So I get into GTA. Then GTA London Stories comes out. I don't remember if London Stories came out after 2 or before 2, but GTA London Stories came out, GTA 2, and now I'm hooked. And I'm playing all of these. I'm playing anything I can get my hands on 24/7. I don't care if it's some stupid poker game that me and my buddies used to play online and, call, fold, or Leisure Suit Larry or Cobra Mission or anything, Strip Poker 3, any game that's out there, whether it was whatever, I'm getting my fingers on it. I'm going to try it out. I'm going to goddamn play it. Neat, right? Uh, so as we go along and we traverse through life, I move on to PC stuff, as I said. And as I move out of my house, my buddies are introducing me to the world of MMOs. Right. So there's like what was the first one? I think it was Ultima Online, and then there was RuneScape and a couple others. I wasn't really a big fan. I was already playing my own MMO, that Neverwinter Nights on AOL, but these things were growing. So my buddy Frank is just Mr. MMO. In fact, I used to have a show we're going to talk about in a little bit here called the Video Game Mafia. He had his own show called the MMO IMO, which is just MMOs in his opinion. Like what does it take to make a good MMO? What's going on this week? What does he like? What doesn't he like? What are the updates coming into games? It was a great show. And it did pretty well for a while because we were into the world. Like any chance we get, we were playing Warcraft. I was a healer. I was a great healer. I was a little goblin healer named Jeezel the Heezels. And we really got into it. Like we had a clan, we had the Azeroth Police Department and all this cool shit in Warcraft. But before that, the one that really, and this is the only reason I got into Warcraft, was because I played a game called Star Wars Galaxies. The pinnacle of MMO gaming, hands down. It was a little difficult. There were no Jedi. You had to complete a completely random set of quests that was random for every player in order for the old man to put a note in your hand, telling you how to get on the Force train. And if you saw a Jedi or heard a lightsaber in this universe, in this game, it was a big deal because that's how fucking rare they were. You never saw a Jedi. You were a dancer. You could be a politician. You could be a farmer, a crafter. People set up stores and shops. They have little droids that sell their shit for them. I was a slicer, which means I was a hacker, and I made drugs in the game. I made all these chemicals and stuff, and I had my little hacking office in the back of my house. I'd spent hours just decorating and meeting people. And at one point, I had this dancer chick that would work in the saloon and sit there and dance. Her little character would dance, and it buffs people. And they ask for certain buffs, and they tip you. And all that money went to my bounty hunter so I could go out there and find people. I'll never forget, me and my buddy Frank, we started this little group called Azeroth Police, or I'm sorry, it wasn't Azeroth Police Department. It was, what the fuck was it? It was some game. Anyway, we put on white armor, one red pauldron, one blue pauldron, and we go out there and bounty hunt. And the bounty hunting system in that game was amazing. And you got buku bucks if you could find a Jedi. So we took the Jedi contract. And guys, I shit you not, we chased this guy to 3 different planets across and these planets were huge, across multiple terrains. I mean, it was the bounty hunt of the ages. If we were streaming back then, this thing would have got a billion views because it was such a cool hunt. Finally, he goes into this place, locks himself in. We never got him, but what a time, right? You're out there, you're doing it, your blood's pumping, you're building something for yourself. And I've got my best buddy with me. When I first saw Frankie in the game, you can make your character what you want, right? And I make a kind of a buffy looking guy, a fighter. I go to see Frank. And here is this. He's as tall as he is round. This big old fat guy in armor with a pole, with a staff, and that was his weapon. So here you got this big old fat guy swinging this staff around like Star Wars kid, right? Except Frank was pretty good at it. Not like Star Wars kid. Frank was actually really good at it. And we had such adventures. And we go out and do this and that's and run the Imperial, what do you call them? The Imperial theme park and get, at one point they had Jump to Lightspeed come out. Now that's the one I wanted because I was already an X-Wing guy. So now you're in space in ships and you can use your joystick to fly around. We went Empire and we started the Obsidian Squadron. We're flying around in our TIE fighters, fucking shit up. It was absolutely amazing. And then Star Wars Galaxies did something I couldn't believe. They listened to their player base. Too many of these little motherfuckers saying, "Oh, I want to be a Jedi. How come I can't be a Jedi? I don't want to put in the work and meh, 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 meh. I just want to be a Jedi." Well, that's what they did. Jedi was now a starting class. Are you kidding me? Now, what is it? So Warcraft did the same thing, right? I remember back when I first started Warcraft, you would have to carry bullets. Like I was a rogue, so I had a little gun in my thing, right? If I didn't have ammo, or if you're a hunter and you don't have bows, you're fucked. You can't shoot. And the people bitched. There's not enough space in my inventory for all the arrows I have to carry. Fuck you. That's the game. Figure it out. If you don't have then you're doing something wrong because I never ran out of ammo. I never ran out of shit that I needed. I kept my inventory clean. I went through my shit. These are everybody bitches. It's too hard. Fuck you. So because you can't take the time to put the energy into a video game to get good at it, you have to punish everybody who loves what it's about. Well, thank you, Sony Entertainment, and thank you, Star Wars Galaxies. That's what you did. And that's why the game closed a year later because nobody wanted to play except for the little bastards who, I'm going to be a Jedi and swing my lightsaber. Fuck off. What about us who've built this community over time? I had a lot of people that I knew because that's what these MMOs are great for, right? Community building. In World of Warcraft, me and Frank and my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, we started a guild, Azeroth Police Department, APD. There was at one point, I think we had like 30 members, people that I loved. I mean, we had Wig Splitter and Oxygon and Gyro Nuts and I mean, all the name, people's handles, but these were people that I saw day in and day out. We became like a little group, we became friends. But then Warcraft did the same thing. Well, we're gonna cater to the smallest common denominator, and that's the people that are gonna bitch that we're not doing a good job. We're gonna ruin this game for you or for everybody else so that we're gonna walk over dollars to find a dime. And that's a big complaint with me these days. Sorry. That's a huge complaint with me in video games these days. Not only walking over dollars to find dimes, but microtransactions. Are you that fucking greedy? Or we're not going to release a full game. We're going to give you the alpha version or the beta version or the playtest, and then we'll slowly trickle in content. When I bought Legend of Zelda and I popped it in my NES, there was no updates, there was no downloading, there was no connecting to the cloud. And tell me this: why can I not play a single player game without connecting to the fucking cloud? I don't want to get on. You can't play this game. You don't have an internet connection. There's no internet in this game required. Just load the game and play it, please. I'm getting sick of it. And another thing I'm getting sick of, guys, every single stupid game out there has to have its own fucking launcher, its own launcher. So we can't even play video games anymore without being data mined because that's all they're doing. They want to see how long we play, what characters, what time zone we're in when we play, where we're all this information that we don't realize is getting. And I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist. I don't have my tinfoil hat. I've got a copper cup, but all this shit is just going crazy and we have no control over it because all we want to do is play these fun games. What was it? Star Wars Battlefront came out. Everybody was looking forward to this. It was going to be, it was PlayStation 4, I think. So the graphics were going to be absolutely insane, and it was going to be multiplayer, and all this shit was going to happen. And what's the first thing you do when you get into the game? You have to do the microtransactions to buy these boxes so you could spin them and hopefully get something good out of it. Well, that's gambling. I didn't sign up to this. If I want to gamble, I'll log in on my horse race account and go bet some fucking horses. I want to play a game. I want to be a stormtrooper or whatever. Go out there and kill AT-ATs or whatever the fuck. You can't do that. So we're going to run a little long here today, guys. As the video game passion of mine grew, uh, I don't know. I wanted to be a real part of it. So I hooked up. Well, that's not true. I saw this documentary called The King of Kong. Now, if anybody knows anything about this, if you don't know what it is, go watch it. It's a competition between two guys, Steve Wiebe and Billy Mitchell, fighting to see who's the number one Donkey Kong player in the world or America or whatever. And there's lots of twists and turns. It's a great documentary. Maybe somebody cheated, maybe they didn't. What's going on here? Little rivalries, shady shit going on. It was fascinating. And I wanted to know these guys. So at the time, I'm doing this podcast called Video Game Mafia with me, this guy named Jace, and my good friend Frank. And I get it in my head. I'm going to go find this Steve Wiebe guy and I'm going to interview him. So I do. I call him. I get a hold of him. We get him on the show. He sits and talks to us all about his Donkey Kong world record, Donkey Kong Jr. He was a teacher in I think Spokane. Great guy, great guy. Had a wonderful conversation with him. Good interview. Got a lot of views too. And this is back in the day. So we're rocking and rolling now, right? Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to call this guy named Walter Day. Now, Walter is the president of Twin Galaxies, who's like the world record holder association. Like, he's very famous for being a video game referee, being in charge of the world record situation, right? I call Walter. Walter and I sit and we have a beautiful conversation on the show. We had a great interview, and I'll never forget Anson. One of these days, you and me have to get together. I would love that. Cool. We'll see what happens. Well, lo and behold, we get to go to one of these video game conferences. So we think we'll show up, right? We'll go see what it is. And I meet this guy named Walter Day. Amazing guy. Really amazing guy. Very driven, very down to earth. He was an older gentleman. I wish I had pictures. I don't know how to put the pictures up on this platform when I'm doing the show. Laws and Jacob are great at that. I'm not. But Walter Day was this old guy who wore a referee shirt. In fact, if you ever saw Wreck-It Ralph, the guy who runs the arcade was kind of modeled after Walter Day with the ref shirt and the beard and everything. Very good guy. Well, Walter was championing Billy Mitchell at the time to be like the top, Twin Galaxy spokesperson. And Billy's a charismatic guy. I've met Billy many times. He's a good dude. I don't have any problems with any of these guys. But that first meeting was where I met two very important people in my life. I met Grace and I met Brian. I'm not going to give last names, but you guys know who you are if you're listening. Grace became like my number one, trying to get something started here because we wanted to at first I was going to buy Twin Galaxies. They had the money, but there was so much drama in there, and there was a bunch of people. There was some guy named Richie Knuckles who wanted to buy it, and some guy named Pete who owned it now, and it was just going through all this whatevers and shit that it got so convoluted that I'm talking to Grace and Brian one day, and I'm like, guys, what are we doing chasing Twin Galaxies when we can just start our own shit? We're three very capable, talented people, so we start something called Video Game Scoreboard, VGS. We're going out to competitions. We got people setting world records. We had a website. We had all kind of merch, you name it. Like we go to these competitions. What's the worst thing when you go to a video game convention? Touching the controllers after somebody else has. So I got the brilliant idea. I'm going to go out and I'm going to get some little bottles of hand sanitizer, put our VGS logo on them, give them out. And we did. And they went like fucking wildfire because everybody wants clean hands when you're playing video games. Nobody wants to get sick. But we didn't quite make it through that. The video game world is full of not only professionals, but amateur assholes and people who are jealous and they see something new start up and all of a sudden we're a threat to the old guard. So we couldn't exist anymore. And, the rumors get started. All my money was made illegally. Where the fuck did that even come from? I got paper trails on every dollar I make. I'm not an illegal guy, but you know how it is. So over time, we kind of slowed down until we shut it down. And I kind of wish we wouldn't have, because man, there was good potential there. We had a lot of fun. We traveled America, going to these different conferences and video game conventions, and the Northwest Pinball Expo, and setting up our own little areas and having our clipboards, getting people to do world records. Man, I had the time of my life. And if I had my druthers, I'd still be doing that today. That's the job I've always wanted to do, is hold these competitions, go out to these places, meet new players, get new people interested in the old classic games, and then, hey, step up here. I'll show you the basic pattern. Now it's up to you to go embellish on that and go set a world record, come back to me, and I'll put you on our website. But, you know, these things get lost in translation, and what are you going to do? So let's fast forward to 2015 as we start to wrap this up a little bit. I know we're about 5 minutes from where I should go, but I'm going to run long. I don't give a shit. I always wonder when I do these shows, am I going to have enough material to cover an hour? Here I am. I've still got a full page here that I haven't gotten to, and we got 5 minutes left. So let's make it quick. I play a lot of games. I still play Fallout 4. I still play, Grand Theft Auto 5. So that's where the next part of this story goes. I got Grand Theft Auto 5 on the PlayStation 3 when it first came out. Loved it so much. And then they did this GTA Online, which I really needed my PC for. So I went and I bought it for PC. And then it came out on PlayStation 4 and I bought the disc. Then it came out on PlayStation 5 and I bought it again. I've got 4 copies of GTA 5. That's how much I love this game on all my platforms. Well, I'm sitting there one day playing the game and I'm like, wouldn't it be great if you could play GTA Online with other people? So I'm going around looking at videos online and I see this one guy who's a cop and he's pulling people over, and I'm like, this isn't GTA Online. You can't do this. So I go in to look and like, what are you playing? LSPDFR was the name of the game. Los Santos PD for real. And you played a cop. It was a cop simulator, but a single player. So I'm typing in on my computer because I got into it. I start downloading mods. I'm having fun just cruising around the town doing NPC cop stuff, and they put situations and missions in the game. So it's fun. But I was like, can you play LSPDFR with other people? Because I'd love to play with Frank, just 2 cops out on the beat, right? No, but I'm seeing people playing online multiplayer. How are you doing this? So I go do some research, find out there's something called 5M. 5M. What 5M is it's a mod platform. So they take the entire city of GTA and they give it to you wide open. You can do whatever you want. And then the modders come in, they can add jobs for you to do, and gangs and drugs and a whole city. You got restaurants, you got car dealerships, you got auto records, you got mechanic shops, you name it. The guys are out in the hills making drugs and guns and shit, for this game. It's amazing. And you can be anybody you want. So I get into this game and I'm playing. And I just make some schmuck. I meet a few people in city. I'm all of a sudden realizing this is acting. This is improv. This is RP. This is real role play. This is what I've been looking for all these years. People who won't break character, because if you break character on some of these servers, your butt gets kicked out. Yes, the purity. Finally, something serious. Because I'm a serious guy. Like, I like to joke around. I like to have a good time. I like to drink and smoke and whatever. But I'm also a rule follower as best I can. So I loved it. I got into it. I started out as a criminal, didn't work out, became a lawyer, loved it, moved on, later became a judge. And then that server fell apart, as servers do, and people go different places. So I came back, started out as a cop, worked my way up the ladder. Now I'm a captain in a police department. I'm a detective, plain clothes, rocking it. I got a squad under me, doing my thing, hard RP, great times, making up storylines, coming up with new ideas. It's just too good. The immersion. I could sit here for hours. And then I found something called Red M, which is what they did for Grand Theft Auto, but in Red Dead Redemption. So now you can go and live in a cowboy world. And I met some amazing people doing this. And I'll tell you, we were talking about this the other night, me and my Red M group. You can get in a car and grab an automatic weapon and go shoot up cops and run away. But when you're in the Old West and you have a pistol and a horse that can be killed, and then you're out there in the middle of nowhere and getting chased by man, it's a slower, harder, more in-depth game. And I really love it. So as you see, I've moved my way up all the way from Pong to GTA and all the shit that we're playing now, all the way up to VR. Now let's talk just a minute about VR because this is too much. The first time I put it on, I downloaded a couple of games. One of them was Vegas Infinite. It's a casino game. Now here I am in my eyeballs, sitting at my desk, playing craps, playing poker, roulette, and I can turn and I can look at my cards, and I can actually peek under the cards, and I can sit there and throw a chip at somebody or whatever. And I played this game called I think it was called The Company, where you wear the VR thing, but when you look down, you can see your body. And here you got a tack vest on. You have to grab grenades off of your vest to throw them, and all this cool shit. What's next? Where are we going next? I mean, I grew up with Pong in the third grade, about 3, 4 years old. My kids are playing on an iPad at 3, 4 years old now. Just stupid kiddie games, whatnot. The learning stuff. But this is what they got. We didn't have that back then. I couldn't download a game just like that or whatever. I'd have to go to the store and save up money and buy it and bring it home and all blah, blah, blah. What are my kids going to see when they're my age? When my kids are 40, they're in their teens now almost. My boys are almost teenagers. My daughter's 13. What are their games going to be like? Do you just plug a chip into your head, or is it Wi-Fi into your brain and you just sit back and close your eyes and live an experience? I'm I'm flabbergasted because every day there's new developments coming out. Look at the new GTA 6 coming out, guys. It's supposed to be the most beautiful game ever made. They spent almost $1 billion on it. By the way, if you got any money lying around, go buy Take Two Interactive like now. Now, before GTA 6 drops, you'll be sending me presents saying thank you. Do it. I don't think I can actually do that online, tell you guys to buy a stock or anything like that. But I'm going to do it. The views expressed by Anson in the morning do not represent PNS Studios. Um, so what is it about video games? I mean, yeah, it's flashy lights and it's a great waste of time, but for me, I'll tell you the truth. You could sit and read a book, which is great. I love reading, or you can sit and play a game and live the book. I'm playing a game right now. It's Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. And it jumps between, old film noir and current day vampire stuff and back and I feel like I'm reading a book, different chapters, different characters. You get to know these people in the games. You get to know the story. You follow along just like you would in a book, except it's visual and I get to make the choices. It's a choose your own adventure for adults and kids. That's why I like video games. That's why I spend so much time doing it. It's the immersion. It takes me out of the humdrum and I can become a hero just like that. MMOs were the same thing. Why do you love the MMOs so much? Because there's a challenge, there's a dungeon. When I get through the dungeon, there's a boss. At the end of the boss, I get something for it to show for my hard work. You don't always get that out of life. I've worked 20 years for some people and you never get anything out of it. No satisfaction. You play 20 minutes of a video game, you beat a boss, you get a cool weapon, you're like, yeah, maybe that's what it is. I like the fact that it's living books. And now my kids are on the VR playing Gorilla Tag and all this other crap they play. And I say, let them have it, especially VR, especially games like Gorilla Tag, because when I sit at my computer to play a game, this is me. I'm sitting here like this. They are playing, they're jumping around and swinging, and it might as well be fucking exercise. When they're done, they're sweating. I'm so happy. So what's the next generation of video games going to be? Is it all augmented reality? Is it going to be in our eyeballs? Is it going to be shot into our brains? Or is it just going to stay on the same path? I don't know. I'm interested to know what you guys think. Tell me what games you guys play. I'm always wondering. So before we wrap up, I've got to do the business, guys. I'm sorry. Like, follow, subscribe. You got to leave a comment. You got to click the thumbs up button. My last video, guys, had 100 views. I've got 2 thumbs ups. If 20% of those people give me an upvote, I'd have 20 fucking clicks, but I don't. So if you guys are watching this right now on YouTube, YouTube's the one I care about. Twitch I use to get this out there and to show it. Facebook too, right? Because it's out there. But I need the YouTube clicks because we're trying to get something built up here for PNS Studios. If you guys could go to this video and just give that thumbs up, write a comment. I love this video game. What do you think about this, Anson? Anything helps, guys. I want to keep doing this for as long as I can. And the only way I can do that is if I know that you guys are watching. And I know that you guys are watching because I almost got 100 views on the last episode. So thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching everything that we do. TNS Studios is continuing to grow. We're working on a new show now. Like things are just keeping going. So as you see at the bottom of the screen at the PNS Studio, you can get that on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere you go to get your entertainment. Guys, this has been Anson in the morning. I love you guys. I'll see you next week. And until then, keep gaming, guys. Don't ever stop gaming. I love you. Take care.